Have you always wanted to work with real estate investors but aren't quite sure how to get started? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about why you should be working with real estate investors, how you can attract real estate investor leads, and how to best service them. All that and more coming up right now. This YouTube channel is all about providing you free content to help you have massive success in the real estate sales game, but also how to parlay that success into a life of financial freedom. My name is Marc Brenner. I'm a realtor here in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're interested in potentially joining eXp Realty or just have general questions about how to be successful in real estate, I would love if you reached out to me. All of my contact information is in the description below. Please feel free to give me a call or book an appointment with me using the Calendly link anytime. Everyone in my personal downline has access to one-on-one personal coaching and step-by-step training for how to use YouTube to explode your business and also how to work with real estate investors to explode your business. So if any of that interests you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me today. All right, so I'm really excited today to talk about how to work with real estate investors because to me, it's a massive opportunity that very few real estate agents know about or talk about. In fact, real estate investors are one of the most underserved niches in the industry. And what I mean by that is there are just hardly any real estate agents who have the knowledge or competency to help a real estate investor accomplish their goals. In fact, statistically, less than 5% of active agents have ever been involved in a real estate investment transaction. Now, the fact is there is a certain amount of knowledge and experience required on the agent side to help real estate investors that many agents don't have. But to me, this simply spells opportunity. Anytime you see some sort of barrier to entry, that can represent a massive opportunity on your part. And there are a lot of parallels with YouTube. I talk all the time about YouTube on this channel. And the reason I talk about it is because I simply think it's one of the best lead generation strategies that hardly any realtor is utilizing in the right way. This is very similar to real estate investors. There are hardly any agents who acquire the knowledge needed to help real estate investors or pursue real estate investors in a big way for their business. So number one, there is a massive opportunity to help a hugely underserved niche in the real estate industry. But also, there are some huge opportunities that are unique specifically to working with real estate investors. For instance, you know that traditional homeowners will either buy or sell on average once every 7 years. Well, when you work with real estate investors, especially after you've developed a working relationship and a rapport and a history, they will often buy as many good deals as you can find. So it's very different from your traditional retail sales market. Imagine being able to hop on the MLS or finding an off-market property that you are able to determine is a great real estate investment opportunity and immediately pairing that with a person that if it's a good deal, they will absolutely buy. So this process kind of works in reverse in the way that you eventually will have a pool of real estate investors who will buy any good deal that you can find. So again, the opportunity is really incredible because if you can develop the skill of sourcing great deals, you will always have a buyer for those deals. So rather than your business being generated on a person as a lead, the business is generated by the quality of the deal that you find. So the more deals you find, the more deals you will close. Real estate investors could potentially represent anywhere from 5, 10, 15, or even 20 plus transactions a year. These are also high net worth individuals. So these are potentially the types of connections that could bear incredible fruit for you in a lot of different ways throughout your real estate sales career. So what you have is an extremely underserved niche who are dying for competent people to help them, and you have a slightly higher barrier to entry that weeds out the majority of the agents you would otherwise be competing with. So for you, if you're willing to develop the knowledge required to help these people be successful, working with real estate investors to me is a massive opportunity to absolutely explode your business. So we're gonna go over what the knowledge is that you need to help real estate investors be successful. We're gonna talk about how you can market yourself to attract an insane amount of investor leads. I'm also gonna dip in some tips for success with working with real estate investors, and I'm gonna be really honest about some of the cons that go along with working with real estate investors. So first, what is the knowledge that you need to successfully help a real estate investor? Well, you need to speak their language. Real estate investors have a common parlance. They use common terms to be able to discuss the quality of a deal. And if you're going to help them be successful, you need to know what these terms are and what they mean. Now, I can't get into every detail of what you need to know today, but needless to say, if you do want to attract real estate investors, you are going to need to take on the responsibility of educating yourself about real estate investing. Now, not only do I think you should do this to be an effective real estate agent for investors, but I also think real estate investing is one of the best ways to create massive wealth. And this channel is not just about being a successful real estate agent, it's really about creating multiple streams of passive income so that you can live a true life of financial freedom. And other than real estate sales, I think real estate investing is one of the best ways for the average Joe to accomplish this. So I think you need to look at it not just as an opportunity to educate yourself in order to grow your sales career, but you need to look at it as an opportunity to educate yourself into eventually how to become a successful real estate investor yourself. So back to some of the things that you need to know in order to work with real estate investors. You need to be familiar with the various types of real estate investing strategies. You need to understand the difference between flipping, wholesaling, buy and hold, short-term versus long-term rentals, the BRRRR strategy, Airbnb arbitrage, syndicating for multifamily properties, and a lot more. So again, I can't tell you what all of those things mean in this video, but you need to take it upon yourself to really educate yourself about all of the different approaches that a real estate investor can take. Now, the other big thing you need to educate yourself about, and this is probably the most important piece of information, is how to analyze a deal. If you ask the average real estate agent if a certain property would make for a great rental, they'll probably tell you yes without even really knowing what to look for, mainly because they're more interested in getting the sale and giving you a true opinion. But the truth is, a good real estate investment property is really hard to find. And there are a ton of variables that go into underwriting an investment property. You need to understand the key real estate investing terminology. Terms like cash on cash return, individual rate of return, cash flow, appreciation versus cash flow. You may be familiar with running sales comps, but you need to be familiar with how to run rental comps, and you need to know what kind of expenses to calculate when you're underwriting an investment property. Things like CapEx, property management costs, utilities and taxes, factoring in a vacancy rate. There is a whole world of terminology that goes into the strategies of real estate investing, how to analyze a deal, and just overall how to dialogue with a real estate investor when you're discussing how to help them accomplish their goals. And this all ties into one of the biggest pieces of value that you'll provide real estate investors. In a lot of ways, and even more so than in the traditional retail side of things, you are a coach, you are a sounding board, and you are a strategist for a real estate investor. You need to be able to have a discussion with a real estate investor, understand what their goals are, what kind of work they do and don't want to be involved in, and based on that information, make decisions about what neighborhoods you should target, what asset classes you should target, and how to put yourself in the best position to get a great deal under contract. So education is going to be paramount for you. We talked about a barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is education. So you need to be listening to real estate investing podcasts. You need to be reading real estate investment books. In fact, the number one book I'll recommend to you is by Robert Helms, and it's called Be in the Top 1%. He talks about everything I'm talking to you about now, how this is a massively underserved niche, and how real estate investors can be an incredible source of business. So I highly recommend that book. You also need to get plugged into the Bigger Pockets community. Now, Bigger Pockets is a community. It's a series of podcasts and a website that are devoted to normal people who are looking to get into the real estate investing game. You simply have to be plugged into this network. Number one, for the education, and number two, for the networking. And we'll come back to Bigger Pockets in a minute. Now, if you want to help real estate investors, you also need to get plugged in to your local real estate investing groups. No matter where you are, no matter what city you're in, there are sure to be multiple real estate investing groups in your area. In my area, we have the Atlanta Real Estate Investing Association. We have the Georgia Real Estate Investing Association. These are places you can go in person when there's not a pandemic to meet and network with real estate investors. And you can also get plugged into Facebook on multiple real estate investment groups. And this is a great way to understand their terminology, to get networked with real estate investors who are doing deals. And it's also a great way to look at deals that people are promoting. So honestly, it's really not hard to get plugged into this community. You just need to know where to look, and you really need to work on educating yourself so that you can take advantage of the connections that you make with these people. Now, just to get a little bit more personal, to give you a real life example, I have on average 5 to 10 real estate investors reach out to me every week wanting to discuss their strategy, how to find good deals, and overall just wanting to work with me. So I'm going to tell you exactly how I accomplished this. Now, what I did was everything I've told you so far. I took it upon myself to educate myself as much as possible, listening to every real estate investing podcast I could find, reading real estate investment books, and getting plugged into the communities I mentioned. But the way that I started to attract leads, the biggest way was through Bigger Pockets. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I got plugged into the local forums for real estate investing in Atlanta on the Bigger Pocket forums. I created keyword alerts so that I could be notified when someone was mentioning one of those keyword terms. So terms like Atlanta real estate investing, best neighborhoods in Atlanta, investor-friendly agents in Atlanta. I'm notified every time someone puts a post on a forum about one of these topics, and I'll respond to their post and I'll provide value. If they're looking for a connection to a property manager, I'll make sure to offer that. If they needed advice about a neighborhood that I'm real familiar on, I'll offer that. So I created a daily habit of posting in the forums on Bigger Pockets every day. And this alone was a fantastic way to draw people on to my Bigger Pockets profile. And this is really my big secret, not so secret, because I'm telling you here today, you can literally copy what I've done. So a traditional account for Bigger Pockets is free. They also have a premium version that's around $100 a year. It is absolutely worth it. And I sat down and I really put a lot of work into my Bigger Pockets profile. If you look at a lot of the profiles for the real estate agents in Bigger Pockets, they're very brief, or maybe they don't say anything at all, but I really took it upon myself to address all of the things I've already mentioned to you today, that this is an underserved niche, that most real estate agents don't know how to help investors. And I talked about how I can help real estate investors be successful. So I put a lot of time, energy, and effort into my Bigger Pockets profile. I can't tell you how many compliments I've gotten on it. And so many people have told me it's the reason why they reached out to me versus another real estate agent. So if you can put some time, energy, and effort into creating a fantastic Bigger Pockets profile, and then create a repeatable daily habit of posting on the forums and providing value, you will have these people driven to your profile, and then when they read about you, they'll be super impressed by the incredible profile that you've created. And then my YouTube channel is really the cherry on top. When they can click on a link and see my Living in Atlanta YouTube page, this actually provides a lot of value for them as well, because if you're an out-of-state investor, you need real-time information about the different neighborhoods in Atlanta so that you can make good decisions in that area. Well, although my Living in Atlanta page is really geared towards retail buyers who are moving here from out of state, it actually provides tremendous value for real estate investors. I have videos like, what is the Atlanta Beltline? Now, this is a video that's great for just a normal person moving here from out of state, but it's also fantastic for a real estate investor because if you understand what the Atlanta Beltline is, you'll understand the profound impact it's having on the neighborhoods that it goes through. So all this to say, I've created multiple sources of value for real estate investors so that when I do catch their eye and they go to look into me, they're very intrigued and they're inclined to reach out to me. Now, in the last 2 years, I've probably received over 200 legitimate real estate investor leads from Bigger Pockets, and the only cost was the $99 a year or whatever it is now to become a premium member. So get educated about the terminology you need to have these types of conversations and help a real estate investor be successful, and get plugged into the communities where real estate investors interact with each other. Honestly, my personal experience is that generating real estate investor leads has been way easier than generating traditional retail leads. And I think the main reason, going back to the first thing I said in this video, is that there are so few real estate agents who have any working knowledge about how to help an investor be successful. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts about actually working with real estate investors once you've developed a steady stream of leads, because it's not all peaches and cream. There are definitely some unique challenges and your time can be at risk when you're working with real estate investors. So I want to be super honest about that. Now, once you get these leads coming in for real estate investors to want to talk to you, you're really going to need to protect your time, because one thing real estate investors love to do is talk to you and glean all the information that they can from you, and a lot of times never talk to you again for a lot of different reasons. They'll ask you questions like, where can I find a great deal? What neighborhoods should I be investing in? Where's the best place to invest in real estate? A lot of very general terms, and this is because you do have a lot of newbie real estate investors that will reach out to you and they simply don't know what they don't know. And so one of the ways to address this, and one of the ways you can provide the most amount of value to a real estate investor, is helping them develop or understand their personal investment philosophy. And this comes right from the Real Estate Guys Radio, which is a fantastic podcast that I highly recommend you utilize to increase your knowledge about this space. But when a person asks you, where can I find a great deal, or what neighborhood should I be investing in, that really isn't a good question to be asking, because all of that is extremely subjective based on who that individual is, what their goals are, and what work they do or do not want to be doing. And this is the type of expectations that you have to set. This is the type of preparation that you have to do with a real estate investor in order to protect your time and convert a lead into a closed sale. So the first thing you should be doing to provide value with a real estate investor and to protect your time is to understand what their goals are. And if they don't have them, you need to encourage them to create some goals. Now, these could be long-term goals, short-term goals. This could be a monthly cash flow goal. This could be a unit in their portfolio goal. It could be a lot of different things, but they need to be specific about what they're trying to accomplish in real estate and what time frame they want to accomplish it in. They also need to know what would be a good deal for them. Take Atlanta, for instance. When people ask me, where should I be investing? Well, that's impossible to know without knowing more about that person and what their goals are. There are a ton of different places that would be great for real estate investing around Atlanta, but what's good for one investor is not good for another investor. For instance, I have some investors who absolutely love Section 8 tenants because they get a guaranteed monthly paycheck each month. I have other investors who would never touch Section 8 rentals. They only want to be in B and A class neighborhoods because they're less focused on cash flow and more focused on gradual appreciation and storing their money in a very safe investment, which would essentially be a B or A class neighborhood. So in order to prevent yourself from spinning your wheels and in order to provide true value to a real estate investor, you need to get a clear picture of their goals. You also need to know the work that they want to be involved in or not want to be involved in. What do I mean? Well, you want to own a rental property. Do you want to manage that property? Do you want to be in an A neighborhood or a D neighborhood? Are you more focused on the maximum amount of cash flow that you can get each month? Or are you more focused on being in the next up and coming neighborhood so you can cash in on massive appreciation. So again, going back to the education piece, when you develop the knowledge to understand the various strategies and the terminology, you will then really be able to help a real estate investor be successful in their journey. Now, the other thing that you need to get from a real estate investor in order to protect your time is a commitment to work with you, a signed buyer brokerage agreement before I provide a lot of the value like an MLS auto search or connecting them with my preferred vendors, wholesalers, property managers, so on and so forth. And although this is a very small thing that a lot of people don't think is a big deal, it really does separate the people who are just looky-loos from the people who are ready to get started and want to work with you. Now, the other thing that you have to be super aware of when working with real estate investors in order to not have all of your time completely wasted is deal flow. And this is the ultimate challenge in both real estate investing and working with real estate investors as an agent. Now, real estate investing really comes down to one thing: finding a great deal. No matter what your strategy is, you are trying to find a deal and purchase it for less than it's worth or much less than it could be worth after you repair it. It is not easy to find a good real estate investment property. In fact, I often have to tell real estate investors that they're not going to be able to find a good deal on the MLS depending on what their strategy is. For instance, if I have an investor reaching out to me looking to utilize the BRRRR strategy to quickly scale up a rental portfolio, one of the first things I'm going to tell them is, look, you are not going to find a BRRRR property on the MLS right now. There's simply no way, and inventory is way too low to find a property on the MLS that you could purchase at 70% of the ARV minus repair costs. So for that person, we're going to have to look at other avenues for deal flow, someone like a wholesaler that can provide off-market properties. And I'll go more into depth about another video because this is a big topic, but you can help clients purchase off-market properties and still make a profit even though you're not getting a commission that's offered by a seller. So one of the expectations that you need to set with these clients after you've talked about what their overall strategy and goals are is that they need to be searching for their deals. You are not going to have the time or energy to plop the greatest deal ever in their lap. Now, of course, I search for deals every day, and as I find good candidates, I will distribute these out to investors who I know would be a good fit for the deal. But you're going to have the most amount of success with real estate investors who take personal responsibility to source deals themselves. And really what your main goal is going to be is to be a sounding board for these people. You are going to give them legitimate comps, both on the sales side and the rental comps. You're going to be giving them real-time boots on the ground information about what the trajectory of a certain neighborhood is, what the various amenities around that neighborhood are, what the various developments that are going on in the area are. This is going to be how you provide them with a lot of value. Now, the other big way that you provide a real estate investor with value is preparing them to be able to get a good deal under contract. So if you already have experience with the traditional retail sales side of things in getting buyers under contract in a low inventory market, this should be fairly straightforward for you. For instance, one of the things that I go through with clients is preparing them to be able to move extremely fast. So this involves getting their financial ducks in a row, having a pre-approval letter, having a lender partner that's going to be really aggressive in helping you get a deal under contract, and most importantly, being able to move extremely fast. Some of the best deals that I've helped real estate investors get under contract where we're the first person to go see a property and the first person to put in an offer. Now, you're going to reach lots of scenarios where there's a highest and best situation, but you'd be really surprised how many listing agents will accept the first offer they get if it's strong enough. Rather than gathering a bunch of properties that could be good and scheduling a day to knock out 10 showings, that's not going to work in this market, and it's not going to work for a real estate investor. As soon as a viable deal comes on the market or pops up off market through a wholesaler, you need to be the first one to go see it. If they're an out-of-state investor, you can go take video, and you need to try to get the first offer in. I do get a lot of investor clients that try to do the bulk of their due diligence prior to even put an offer in, and that's a recipe for a lot of wasted time. So again, it's setting expectations and having these discussions beforehand so that your time isn't wasted and so that you increase the possibility of the investor getting a great deal. And this is a skill that you will develop over time as you gain your knowledge and experience working with investors. You need to create a series of repeatable routines that, number one, protects your time, energy, and effort, and number two, increases the chances that you will help a real estate investor successfully get a good deal under contract. All right, so that was a lot of information, and honestly, there's a lot more talking I could do about this subject. I'm super passionate about working with real estate investors for a lot of different reasons. But number one would be, again, this is an incredibly underserved niche. If you can make the effort to educate yourself about what you need to know and get plugged into these communities to build relationships and develop experience, you will become an invaluable asset to these real estate investors. But again, this isn't just about building your sales business. This is about you becoming a real estate investor. And if you haven't been interested in that, I would really challenge you to second guess that approach, because in my opinion, if you're a real estate agent, you absolutely need to be investing in real estate. Why? Well, number one, because I think real estate investing is the most tried and true way where the average American can build massive wealth over time. But number two, as a real estate agent, you already have so many benefits and such a big leg up on everyone else getting into this space. You already have negotiation skills, you're very familiar with contracts, you probably have a great network of people who can help you do the things related to being a successful real estate investor. You have great insider knowledge about the neighborhoods that you work on, so you probably didn't even realize how much knowledge you've acquired being a real estate agent that will help you tremendously getting into the investing space. So to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. Even if you don't want to dive right in, you want to take a more casual approach, just start listening to real estate investing podcasts. You'll be educating yourself and you'll be getting super inspired with ideas about how real estate investing can change your life. All right, guys, that was just a little bit about how to work with real estate investors. This is going to be a recurring theme for me because I'm hugely passionate about it. And this channel isn't just about being a real estate agent. It's also about being a real estate investor. I hope you found that information beneficial and it provided you with value. It would mean so much to me if you subscribe to my channel. It's a huge help to me and my business. And if you want to learn more about the tremendous value that being in my personal downline and EXP can provide, please feel free to reach out to me. No commitment required, even if you just want to ask questions about anything I talk about, from YouTube to real estate investing. I would love for you to reach out to me. So until my next video, this is Freedom Agents. I'm Marc Brenner, and I'll see you next time.